84 Hoops crew, welcome or welcome back. It's your girl Lils, aka Lily Like the Flower. And you see the hoodie is on, inspired by Asia Wilson, because things are getting serious. Things are getting real. Playoffs are right around the corner. The Minnesota Lynx have already clinched. The Seattle Storm, out of here. The league is leaguing right now. There is tension, there's division, there are fights. There's a lot happening on and off the court. Dialogues, discourse, fights, Congress. All of that aside, playoffs are approaching. How is your team doing? A lot can change in a couple of weeks. Now, granted, there will be a break for the FIBA tournament, which is going to be interesting because there's literally going to be a 2-week break at the end of the season. So that can either work in your team's favor or against it. We don't know. But let's start with that. Let's unpack the FIBA team. Team USA will be representing out there. And did your fave make it or not? Let's look up the roster right now. USA women's basketball. And if you didn't know, the team was picked by Sue Bird. Here we go. So we have, in alphabetical order, Aaliyah Boston, Paige Beckers, Caitlin Clark, Nafisa Collier, Kalia Copper, Chelsea Gray, Ryan Howard, Kelsey Plum, Angel Reese, Brianna Stewart, Asia Wilson, Jackie Young. Coaches, Kara Lawson, Natalie Nakase, Nate Tibbetts, Stephanie White, Jose Fernandez, and Tia Jackson. Okay, so now that we know who is going to be playing, are you satisfied? Are you happy? Did anyone get left off that should be on this roster, considering perhaps injuries, their position? I'm sure there will be reserves. God forbid anyone on this roster gets injured or can't play due to injury or whatnot. I'm pretty sure that there are backups and reserves. But let's also not forget Bahala Europe, France FIBA roster women's basketball. Okay? Because if you're a Golden State Valkyries fan like myself, you're familiar with many of the players that have played or play for France. And I'm not going to act like I won't be rooting for them either. Am I French? When I was younger, I used to say I was French because somewhere along the lines, my grandma said, yeah, you have some French in you. I was just like, okay, au revoir, oui, oui. And my real name is Lillian, so I just would tell people, yeah, it's French. But Gabby Williams, Maureen Johannes, Janelle Salon, just to name a few, Dominique Malonga, hello, just to name a few. And let's see if I missed anyone else. View roster. I don't know all of these players, so I'm not going to run through the whole roster, but I'm going to name who I do know. Janelle Salon, Dominique Malonga, Gabby Williams, Maureen Johannes, Layla Lacan. Those are the only ones I know. The rest, I will see when they play. But of course, I gotta root for my girls, Gabby and Janelle. Team USA all the way. But I'm not going to be mad if France also ends up winning gold. That sounds bad, but it is what it is at this point. Hoodies on. It's hoodie season. Things are getting real in the WNBA. Where are we in terms of standings? A lot changed overnight. As I mentioned in the beginning, the Lynx have clinched. They're in there. It's official like a whistle. Standings. Has your team maintained their status in the top 8, or have they been demoted? Let's start with number 1, Minnesota Lynx, Golden State Valkyries. Las Vegas Aces, Atlanta Dream, Indiana Fever, Washington Mystics, New York Liberty, Dallas Wings. So these are the top 8 teams. After them are the Portland Fire, Los Angeles Sparks, Chicago Sky, Phoenix Mercury, Toronto Tempo, Connecticut Sun, Seattle Storm. We already established that the Seattle Storm are out. But do Portland, LA, Chicago, Phoenix, Toronto, Connecticut have a chance of possibly knocking out the 8th spot, which currently are the Dallas Wings? So in order for this to happen, I would even say, at any given point, any of these teams, even in the top 8, I'm not wishing this on anyone, but you just never know, could go on a unfathomable losing streak. Okay? We don't want that. And the bottom few teams that could potentially, I was going to say possibly, Portland. Okay, so LA, Chicago, and Phoenix all kind of have the same winning record. Some teams have played a couple more games than the others. But what do we think? Do we think Portland, LA, Chicago, maybe Phoenix could make a run for the playoffs for that 8th spot? There's a lot of season left. I heard some broadcasters say that Phoenix might not be in the running just based off numbers so far. But they also just got Kelsey Plum. So what did you guys think about that trade? Kelsey Plum was traded from the Los Angeles Sparks to the Phoenix Mercury. What did you guys think about that? When the discourse was occurring, everyone kept saying, oh, she needs to go to the Valkyries. She needs to go to the Valkyries. Ooh, maybe Washington. My brain, how I broke it down, how I saw it, based on this season's wants and needs, I wasn't even thinking about cap space. I didn't even consider that, to be honest. I just thought, where would she be the best fit, whether they had the cap space or not? It was always Phoenix. It was always Phoenix. Based on what she wants to accomplish in this league on a personal manner and as a teammate. Phoenix, to me, should have always been the option. So 1.5 years with LA. She's now moved on to Phoenix. Hopefully KP has a better season this year than she has in the past. Not to say that her seasons in the past were bad, but through injury, trades, adjustments, new systems, I really hope that she finds a home in Phoenix, because KP is a dog. We all know it. And the players on Phoenix are all dogs as well. And they have a lot of potential. They've been on a tear. They went on a mini tear for a little bit, but unfortunately they've lost their last 3. And we're gonna see how this all unfolds in the next few weeks, because we're gonna start seeing more teams clinching, getting crossed off the list for playoffs. So it's crunch time. It is crunch time. The Chicago Sky, Sydney Taylor, balling her behind off, but it's so sad that she got injured. I don't know if this is like a season-ending injury, because she did injure her groin area, and if history tells us anything, that's unfortunately an injury that is just constantly recurring, and one that just has to heal over time. But the likelihood of that injury reoccurring is very high. That's an injury that Caitlin Clark sustained last year and ended her season. So we don't want that for her or any player. We don't want any injuries for anyone. Regarding all of the other teams, it's up and it's stuck. It could be anyone's game at this point. The top 8, I would say from 4 to 8, has been rotating each and every week. There's a different team. There's a different team within those ranks every week. Right now, the 4 through 8, Atlanta, Indiana, Washington, New York, Dallas. I told you guys, I've been talking about this team almost all season as my sleeper team. And I'm speaking from a hardcore Valkyries fan standpoint, but also a fan of women's basketball. Game recognized game in the Bay, man. And the Washington Mystics, the young and turnt squad, have been showing out. They're currently on a 7-game winning streak. They have beat the Lynx, the Valkyries, the Dream. I think they've beat almost every team except maybe Las Vegas. I don't know for sure. Let me look it up right now. Let me check out their schedule. Yeah. So, oh wait, teams, Washington. Let me know in the comments while I look for this, because Washington Mystics. Here we go. Oh, how did I miss this? The Mystics play the Aces back to back this week. I knew I wasn't tripping. So let's look at their whole schedule. Let me see if they've played them at all. I'm all cheesing for the Mystics like they're my team. Like, I'm rooting for them, but not too much, okay? Not too much. So I haven't seen the Aces so far. Speaking of the Mystics, Benijah Laney Hamilton is officially on the Mystics. They moved Rory Hamilton. That's not her name. Why is everyone's name Hamilton? Rory Harmon. They moved Rory Harmon. First, people thought they cut her. As it turns out, time went on. This is why we must be patient, especially in the sports world, and not jump to conclusions. Rory Harmon is now in the developmental spot. I just wonder how that works in terms of pay. If you were already signed to the team, made it past the trade deadline. That's something I'll look into after I make this video, for my own knowledge, and then I'll report back afterwards. Because with this new CBA, I don't know how any of that works. Not that I knew how it worked before. Okay. The Mystics play the Aces for the first time this season. Today's August 10th, Monday. Not sure when this video is going to go up, but basically they played the Aces 2 days this week. So we're going to find out how the Mystics, this version of the Mystics, fares against this version of the Las Vegas Aces. Because every team from day one is not the same as they were today. The first month, I genuinely believed Toronto was going to be in the top 5. But when Slim got injured, and they just dealt with a bunch of injuries, then they finally got another great player in Anissa Morrow from the Connecticut Sun. If they had that squad from day one and they maintained health, there's no doubt in my mind that Toronto would have been in the top 5 the whole season. But unfortunately, due to a lot of injuries and setbacks, Toronto is unfortunately now in 13th place. It's not looking good for them, but again, health is important, depth is important, and as an expansion team that it doesn't look like they're going to make the playoffs this season, they had, in my opinion, a strong case for the postseason from the beginning. But that's why I say the teams today are not the same they were at the very beginning of the season. I highly doubt anyone anticipated the Washington Mystics. They are the youngest team in the league. And their coach, Washington Mystics coach, what's his name? Sydney, I wanted to call him Taylor too. Coach Sydney Johnson, he hasn't been a coach in this league that long either, since 2024. So something in that locker room shifted. And I always talk about chemistry and how chemistry can carry you more than having just star players on a squad. What do they call that when they get all the best players? I forget what they call it. Please leave it in the comments, because I'm just riffing and freestyling right now. Everything I'm talking about, what is like a hyper team? Anyway, the Washington Mystics are an example of hard work, grit, heart, chemistry, and just overall just love for one another, how that translates on the court. And I can definitely say that's something that I've witnessed from the Las Vegas Aces over the years, just that chemistry. That they would not have won last season if Asia Wilson didn't send that text message. They were on the verge of just complete just breakdown. Like, the Aces last year turned up once their leader stepped up. And with the Washington Mystics, as gritty as they are, as young as they are, they're fighters. And they're fighting and clawing their way into that top 5 position. And that could be something that maybe changes tomorrow. We don't know, because I haven't seen them play the Aces yet. And as I was talking about that, the Washington Mystics have beat, at least once, to my knowledge, I think every single team in the league. Yeah, they have 19 wins, 12 losses. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if they haven't played anyone else yet. So I'm just speaking from what I've analyzed from my perspective. But the Washington Mystics have been that sleeper team. And they got Benijah Lainey Hamilton on their squad now. And she is one of my favorite players, because she, to me, is a great representation of a vet, a strong, tough player, and just an overall just leader. She won a championship, so she knows what it's going to take to get to these levels. And I think she's the perfect choice for the Washington Mystics right now. Where did my WNBA? There we go. So what do you guys think so far? There's a lot happening. The Minnesota Lynx have not stopped doing well, and that doesn't sit well with me. But my Golden State Valkyries currently are in second place. And like I said, there's still a lot of season to go, but we are in the part of the season where the countdown begins for, who's going to clinch those next spots, who's going to clinch those top 8 spots in the league. Right now, we're focused on the top 3: Minnesota Lynx, Golden State Valkyries, Las Vegas Aces. Now, we've been switching back and forth with the Aces pretty much all season. For sure, the second half of the season. So I'm not really concerned about first place, second place, none of that, because we just want to get into the playoffs and continue playing our game as the Valkyries. If you watch any of Coach Nakase's press conferences, she's not impressed by standings. She's not impressed by stats. She wants her team to get better and remain consistent in the things that they have to get better at and improve in. And she's very hard on them. And even in the press conferences, it's so interesting, because usually the media is the one that's negative or trying to set you up for these gotcha questions. And lately, a lot of them have been trying to compliment Coach Nakase to get her to celebrate her successes and the team's defense and their wins and their, just how much of a standout team and breakthrough team they continue to be just in our second season as an expansion team. And she always finds a way to say, yes, but we didn't do this. And I don't know if you would consider that like a negative mindset, or because she is the leader, she is the coach, she is the main one calling the shots that they look to, that she just doesn't want to let her guard down and get too high up there, or cocky, if you will. So I get it. And I'm down to ride with her through this whole journey. I do my own separate Valkyries vlogs on purpose, but I'm intertwining all of them now because I think each week is going to get more and more pivotal. And the fact that I didn't know Washington hadn't played Las Vegas yet just reignites that flame for me of wow, the season's just getting better and better, because what do you mean teams haven't played each other yet until the second half of the season? They should have played each other at least once in the beginning and once in the second half of the season. That's how I see it. But Asia Wilson has been wearing her hoodie up, a black hoodie, and not just a white tee and gray sweats. And when I saw her wearing the hoodie, which has inspired me to wear my hoodie tonight, I said, oh, well, someone tweeted, no, not tweeted, on Threads, let me pull it up. They said, what does it mean when Asia wears the black hoodie? Like, what do you mean? Let me go to my replies. Here we go. Why does Asia Wilson gotta wear all black against Atlanta Dream? We didn't even do nothing. We're not even rivals. What does this mean? And she's in all black hoodie, zipped up to the top, just like this. White tee under, looks like there's a white tee under, but just no logos, nothing. Her slides, just straight to business, no games played. No, it's not time to be cute. But I responded, it means just take the L and keep pushing. Channel the loss towards other wins. The league is on notice. No one is safe. That's what I said about Asia Wilson wearing the black hoodie zipped to the top, because it's true. I can't trust the Aces to just have a bad game and assume that they're not going to be in the championship at the end. I can't let my guard down. And I think that's why Coach Nakase also wants the media to be aware, like, yeah, that's great and all that they scored and they held the other team to this or that, but our focus tonight was this, and they did not execute on the plan. Because if you're not executing on the plans that are tasked to you, how do you expect to win a championship? How do you expect to beat the number 1 team, the number 2, 3 team, even the number 13 team? Okay? 15 team, I'm sorry. Because it's still playoff level basketball. And right now, aside from the Minnesota Lynx clinching the playoffs, it still doesn't mean anything. Because the playoffs is a whole new season, fresh start, reset. Right now, it's going to come down to depth, health, and I think that's why Dallas is struggling a lot, because they lack the depth, they lack the health in their players. And Paige and it is late. I am Dallas Wings roster. Jessica Shepard. I just have to say it out loud. But Paige and Jessica Shepard are being worked to the ground. Okay? So I'm not shocked that players are, experiencing soreness, inflammation, injuries, because unfortunately, a lot of these teams lack the depth, and I truly believe that more teams are going to develop their squad much like the Valkyries have. And I think the Minnesota Lynx did a great job as well this year in doing that by getting certain players that you wouldn't expect to be on the Lynx squad, but it's working, which is why they've already clinched a spot with 8 weeks left in the season. So I think moving forward, a lot of teams are going to start to develop their squads around more of those six men players, because having the stars are great, but if your team and your bench lacks depth to sustain you throughout the season, because if you look at the players on the Valkyries, our starting 5 and then our reserves, our second unit, could also be our starting 5. Or you mix and blend all of them, you have like 5 variations of a starting 5. And then to have Veronica Burton or Gabby Williams coming off of the bench, what do you mean? I think the person right now bearing a lot of the weight that people aren't fully paying attention to is Kia Stokes. And I hope and pray that she's doing well. She got injured during last night's game when we played against the the Los Angeles Sparks. She got hit in the neck, so she's currently dealing with a neck contusion. So I have a feeling she's not going to play. Well, the game's not until Wednesday, but it is your neck. I wouldn't risk it, in my opinion. I think we have enough depth to get through Wednesday's game without Kia. But to me, Kia Stokes she's been the method. She's been the secret sauce in all of this. Because we are down a 5 with Ileana Rupert being pregnant, Kia Stokes has been everything for the Valkyries. And I do want to shine light on her because she's not a player that has been in the spotlight this much, considering she's won at every level in her career. She has rings on rings on rings, UConn, Aces, and God willing, the Valkyries. So I love Kia Stokes. She's one of my favorite, just like low-key players that a lot of people don't talk about. And when she was with the Aces, I just always wondered why they didn't play her as much as they should have last season. And when it comes to chemistry, I think she's a person that the Aces, a lot of their chemistry was, and I'm just speaking from what I think and see, this is not fact, but I feel like Kia Stokes's chemistry was a big loss for the Aces this season. So they had to do a lot more rebuilding this season because that piece, that familiar piece in Kia Stokes exited. Because even though she wasn't playing a lot last season, she was still on the bench. Her presence was there. Her humility, her experience was there. And now that that's here in Golden State, we're seeing her shine. She's shooting threes. I think she's second behind Asia Wilson and, leading blocks in the league. She's doing numbers that she wasn't able to do in her past seasons here in the W. And I'm so glad that players like her are getting the shine that she deserves and the play that she deserves, because now, like I said, to me, that's now going to be the standard throughout the entire league in terms of building out your roster. That will not necessarily include any of the rookie class recruits. Unless you're a Juju Watkins or a Sarah Strong type player. Like, unless the Valkyries were getting AZ, Olivia Miles, Paige, Angel, any player like that, they cut pretty much every rookie except for Soa, I'm sorry. So I'm not saying that the rookies aren't, should beware, but just the standard of the Valkyries didn't make many changes. Even during the trade deadline, they didn't make any moves. Like, no changes were made to the team. So that just goes to show that they have confidence in the squad that they have right now. And it's one of those, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And in the course of a year and a half of being in the W, the Valkyries have really created this higher standard for what a team looks like, what a roster can look like and be, with a bunch of sixth men, with a bunch of role players, and 1 or 2 stars from the league, and I think that's going to translate next season as well when it comes to all of these teams and free agency. I think, like I said, the Washington Mystics did a great job in doing that as well with the young players that they do have. They recruited almost every rookie in the draft. So they didn't have a lot to work with, but they're making it work. And we shall see how the rest of the season unfolds. In the meantime, please check out my other vlogs. I just released a new vlog talking all about just 30 years of the WNBA, how I got introduced to the WNBA, how I got introduced to basketball, how basketball broke my heart, but I've eventually found it again. And I share also just my memorabilia, ticket stubs, magazines, autographs, jerseys. So please go check it out if you haven't already. I'll put that in the end screen and the description below. I would love for you guys to check out that vlog. I'm having fun doing this. I really enjoy it, and I hope to continue to build this community out. It's so cool when I go to Valkyrie's games and people recognize me, because it's not like why I do any of this, but it is proof that the work I'm putting in is working. So take that with a grain of salt if you're considering doing content in a specific niche or lane. It's like, sometimes when people don't comment, or maybe the post doesn't do so well, or maybe you've never had a viral post, or you feel like you're just plateauing, God will send you different signs if it's meant to be that this is working. And that's just been my journey with content, is I don't talk about the salacious hot topics. If I do, it's very brief, but also honest. You can catch a lot of my thoughts and opinions in my reposts, but I don't use the trending topics to build my content out, because I understand it does work, but it also attracts a specific audience that I don't necessarily want to be in close proximity to my crew, to us. You see what I'm saying? So I do have boundaries and parameters in terms of certain players I will not talk about. And if I have addressed them in the past, I'm just going to leave it at that. But I'm really trying to hold this boundary of not talking about certain players, but rather celebrating the players that I do enjoy, that I do love watching. And if I do have thoughts or opinions on something, it's because I really mean it. And I felt it necessary to talk about, to support, or to not support. But if I don't talk about them, that's my way of not supporting them. Or that's my stance on a certain situation. But for the most part, you will know where I stand in terms of any drama that's occurring in the league. And I also don't want to rush to express myself and just be reacting in the moment. I'm okay with sleeping on a thought. I'm okay with letting it marinate. I'm okay with a few days going by and then talking about it with more information, with more perspective, versus just being so quick to react to the hot topics all the time. It just doesn't work for me. And there are content creators that I respect and admire because they can do that. I think for me, it just hasn't worked because I can't maintain that. It doesn't sit right with me in terms of my level of empathy and emotion, but I also don't want to seem like I'm not taking a stance on anything, because it's definitely, I'll tell you this right now, Dejanay Carrington is one of my favorite players and will always be one of my favorite players. And what she's going through right now and what is being brought into the league due to this incident is wild, because the person that started all of this stuff essentially is now blaming everyone else for the problems she brought up and she caused. No one was talking about this until she brought it up. And now this whole crap storm of events and men trying to come into this league is everything she just said she was against. So my fandom, my protection is with Dejanay Carrington and many other players that have been impacted by a specific team and group of players from a specific team. But as I said, I don't talk about them, but I will uplift and encourage the players that are being impacted by such a crowd. And I don't ever want to be bunched into that crowd. So on occasion, I will say my stance like I did just now, so you guys know. And if you choose to continue to follow, great. And if you don't, thank you for your services. But with that said, I'm so pumped for the rest of the season. We're back to regularly scheduled programming on a weekly basis. So thank you for sticking around, for watching. YouTube is also changing their platform around. So I got to get these watch hours in before next year, God willing. And let me know if you guys want more like outside vlogs, going to game vlogs. And if I do go to the games, what do you want to see me do at the games besides just screaming and cheering the whole time? Do you guys want to see what I'm eating, what I'm wearing, who I'm with, the arena? Let me know, because I definitely want to start incorporating that type of content on this channel. I just don't really have the financial backing to do that every single week. It is expensive here in San Francisco, and this channel is not monetized yet. Maybe if I get these hoodies off of the ground, we can make something shake. But in the meantime, I would do my best to just show you guys more of San Francisco, because I know when people come into the city, or I see on threads like traveling to San Francisco, I want to go to a game, but what else should I do? I want to be the person that lets you know the what else you should do and how long it's going to take you. What do you need to do to get there? How much do you need to budget for? So stay tuned. I might start to incorporate some travel-ish content onto this page, even though it is sports content. But I'm not one-dimensional. I do a lot, and I love talking to you all and building community. So also collaborations, if you guys want me to do interviews, maybe podcast style. This is kind of podcast style. I need to buy the plugins and everything so I can record this content with better audio. I know that's something I'm lacking in, but I don't want that to be a factor in me stopping from producing content. The only thing stopping me right now is just emergencies. Like I had one last week. I had a dental emergency, so I couldn't record my videos on time. But outside of that, and audio, I think I'm solid. I do like the Friday spot of me posting that day, but if Tuesday or Wednesday ends up being a better day, then we'll go with that. Okay, so let me know what you guys want. Definitely willing to accommodate in terms of content, but I'm also going to do what I know works best for what I have the capacity to do and provide. So with that said, thank you again for watching another 84 Hoops Crew vlog. Join the crew, join the 84 Hoops Crew by hitting that subscribe button and drop a comment. React to whatever I just said in this video. Feel free to clip up my stuff and put it on the other platforms and make clips out of it. I don't care, because the more I can get my name out there, this content out there, the better. If you want to clip up my content like they do for the streamers and make a little bag off of it, hey, as long as my platform continues to grow with you, it's all good. But until the next Hoops Crew video, let's keep the ball rolling. It's your girl Lils, and yeah, I'm outro. See ya. I need a better outro. I'm gonna work on that. Let me know. Drop your suggestions if you have any, and make sure you guys watch one of these videos here, wherever I put it on the end screen, and double tap the logo so you can subscribe. Go Valks!